sweet.
Hey guys, from TV shows to movies to video games, we've all had one dream that's just been out of reach. Whether it's because the technology just wasn't up to par, or it was just far too expensive to do. And that dream was virtual reality. With the invention of the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift, Sony thought it would take a swing at it as well. It was going to invent a VR system that was a portion of the price and just as powerful as the other guys. Not to mention it was going to use their proprietary video game system. Today we're doing another Not So Retro review! And today's review is on the PSVR.
Launch title.
My first experience with virtual reality was as a child, at an amusement park. I had to pay $5 just to be able to use the machine for 5 minutes. It was one of those great big things that you had to step into. They strapped me in so I wouldn't fall over, put the headset on, and then I realized that they had Duke Nukem 3D loaded up. I was so excited to be able to play that game in virtual reality. When I put that headset on, man, I remember I was so excited. I was really impressed when I first saw it. Duke Nukem was my favorite game as a kid, so when I got the opportunity to be Duke Nukem, it was a dream come true. Virtual reality was gonna let me be Duke Nukem and be a part of my favorite game. The only thing about this was, it wasn't in 3D, and it didn't actually have motion sensing technology. It had some kind of a basic gyroscope, at least that's my guess, because I remember by the end of my 5-minute session, I had the biggest kink in my neck, because the gyroscope got confused, and by the end of my play session, I was looking straight up and playing like this because the game thought this was looking straight on.
The headset is mostly made of plastic. It has blue LEDs all around the front, back, and sides in order for the camera to be able to track your head movements. It also has a volume control which is connected to the headset. As you probably already know, this headset is wired just like the other ones. They do this in order to reduce input lag. Input lag is something that could make VR impossible, but thankfully that isn't an issue here. You also get a breakout box. This is what connects your PSVR to your PlayStation and that to your TV. This allows for what they call the social screen, allowing your friends to watch and participate on your TV while you wear the headset.
And with the new technology, it was really amazing. I was able to be fully immersed and completely forget that I was even in a video game.
Oh, this is pretty sweet. Feels like I'm touching somebody.
What the hell? How did you get in here? What are you doing here?
Well, you said you were doing a review on the PSVR, so I brought mine over.
That's not a PSVR.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. And you can't see me.
Yes, I can.
It's covering your eyes.
No, it's not.
It's covering your eyes. Take that thing off.
It's virtual reality.
The first time you see the headset, it can be a little bit overwhelming, but putting the headset on is actually pretty easy. All you have to do is press the button in order for it to expand, then slip it on. Underneath the screen there's another button. You press that in order to bring the screen closer to your eyes. Then all that's left is turning the knob in the back in order to tighten it so it stays secure.
No, that's not virtual reality. That's virtual reality.
Want to try?
No! Look, I'll show you the PSVR. Where did I put it? Did you see my PSVR?
Oh, this is sweet.
Oh, whoa. Here, hand it to me. It's really delicate and I need it for my review.
Does that mean I get to be in the review?
II. The II stands for International.
No, you know what? Here, why don't you just put this on and just stand in the corner quietly and I'll finish my review without it.
Oh, sweet.
HTC Vive and Oculus Rift were the first out on the market, but the biggest complaint most people had was its pricing. Most people couldn't justify spending as much money as they had to just for the headset. But then, you actually had to buy a gaming rig to go with it. If you had one at home, you might be lucky enough for it to be able to meet the minimum requirements, but most people didn't. So that means you had to shell out to get a better gaming rig just to be able to qualify to play VR. So Sony looked at this and said they could corner the market right here. What were they going to do? Well, they were going to sell you a headset at a portion of the price as everybody else, and they were going to not use a big computer. Instead, they were going to use the console that's in most people's homes. And what was this? The PS4, of course. So, Sony figured the only way we can do this is by cutting certain corners. One of the ways that they did this was by cutting the FOV a little bit. If you don't know what FOV is, well, FOV is your field of view. It's how much you see in your peripheral vision when you're looking straight ahead into the screen. Sony decided they would cut this back and it wouldn't be too big of a deal. Now, I have heard people who have played the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift, then they played the PSVR and they weren't too impressed. For somebody like me who's never had a chance with the other two systems, I think it's fine. I don't notice big black curtains on the side. It seems clear enough to me. The other way that they cut the corner was resolution. 1080p is what they tout, but the big problem is that it's 1080p split between two eyes. Now, that means you get half the resolution. That ends up meaning you get jaggedy edges. But if you're willing to look the other way, it's not too bad. It's still clear enough that you can see what you're supposed to see, and you still feel completely immersed in the game. Even though it's low resolution, it's still really immersive. For example, I was playing the Playroom game that they give you, and I was playing Robot Rescue. It looks like there's a whole world in front of you, and I was checking out the little robot. I was getting so close to get a better look that I smacked my head off my coffee table. It's really surprising to forget that you're...
Oh, this really does feel like a kitty cat.
Stop it!
Sorry, I was just so immersed.
Really? It's not even plugged in.
Oh, these cables is for protection, just in case lightning struck. It's completely wireless, because it's virtual reality.
Oh my god.
Although there aren't a slew of VR-specific games, there was one feature that pushed me over the edge when I was debating whether to get the VR or not, and that was cinema mode. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It mimics having a full theater all to yourself. It's pretty cool to be able to play games on a giant screen, and it's all thanks to this headset. If that still isn't enough, Sony released an update which supports 3D Blu-ray playback. That's an awesome feature to have.
So now it's time to address the elephant in the room. That's the nausea. Now, I'm not going to say that I know what everybody's going to experience because my experience is going to be very different than yours. But I can tell you that I have read that a very small percentage of the population will never get past it. But the majority of people will eventually get past it, and some have never even felt the nausea to begin with. I did feel the nausea when I started, but I was able to build up to having immunity. Now I'm at the point that I could play an endless amount of hours and I feel perfectly fine. I did start with only about a 5 to 10 minute session and slowly had to build up. Doing things like 5-10 minutes, then I'd sit for about an hour and not play. Then I'd play another 5-10 minutes, then I'd sit for about an hour. Now this does sound like a slow process, but let me tell you that in about a week, I went from 5 minutes to about 2 hours, no problem. So nausea is something that you're gonna have to get used to if it starts to affect you from the start. But don't think you're alone in this. Developers are trying very hard in order to prevent this, and they have come up with a few secrets here and there to be able to fight this. One of them is the frame rate. In order to have less nausea, you have to have a smoother video. The smoother the video, it seems the better your brain reacts.
They've also added certain mechanics in order to curb this issue. One of them allows you to disable smooth turning. So, instead of having one continuous movement when you go from left to right, you'll have the chance to turn in increments. This helps with some of the disconnect that you may feel. There's also an option in some games where they place a see-through grid around you in order to help with your spatial awareness. All of this is done in order to curb any of the discomfort that's felt by some players. Thankfully, I don't have to use any of these features anymore.
So as far as I can tell, the reason that you feel nauseated is because your ear doesn't match what you see. What you see is movement, but your inner ear is telling your body you're sitting still. So that's what makes you nauseated. It's really too
Ah, it's a monster!
Dude, that was my camera!
What? You should be really careful where you put that thing.
Oh my god, you know what? Get out.
What?
Get out! Jeez. So what are my final thoughts? I love my PSVR. I think it's absolutely amazing. It is a little bit expensive, so not everybody's going to want to run out and get one. But in comparison to the other VR options, it's the most affordable out there. You have a PS4 more than likely anyway. All you have to do is buy the headset and the camera and you're good to go. You can buy the Move controllers, and I've heard that it totally ups the level of immersion, but I don't have them and I've had just as much fun as I've heard other people have. There are a few caveats that have to be addressed, like the nausea, but I think that it has a great possibility of being the new game changer. Guys, you're not just sitting back and watching a game anymore. You're in the game, you're part of the game. And with games like Resident Evil 7 showing what the possibilities are, I'm excited. I can't wait. If you can get your hands on it, I would absolutely suggest going out and getting it. Don't break your back in order to afford it. But if you happen to have some spare cash and you want to try something new, I think it's a really cool experience. It'll open up your eyes to a whole new possibility of video games. Guys, I love my PSVR and I don't regret buying it. Anyways guys, until next time. Wait, did he take my PSVR?